The Ugly Duckling. And this is retold by Brenda Parks and Judith Smith and illustrated by Jacqueline Rogers. The Ugly Duckling. Once upon a time, a duck sat on a nest of eggs. Day after day she sat and sat, until the eggs began to crack. Out came 5 little ducklings. They were fluffy and yellow. One egg was left in the nest. Then that egg cracked too. Out popped a big gray duckling. "Who are you?" said the mother duck. Go away, you're ugly," chirped the 5 yellow ducklings. Every day the ugly duckling grew bigger and bigger and uglier and uglier. The other ducks came to look at him. "You are ugly," they said. The ugly duckling grew very sad. "No one wants me," he said, as he swam in the river. The other ducklings teased him. The big ducks pecked at him. And the ugly duckling grew sadder and sadder. "No one wants me," thought the ugly duckling. "I'm going to run away." So he swam sadly down the river. After a long time he met some wild ducks. They looked at him and said, "My, you are ugly." Then the wild ducks flew away and they left the ugly duckling all alone. Each day the winds grew colder, the leaves fell off the trees, and then it started to snow. The poor ugly duckling swam alone in the river. Then the river turned to ice. It was winter. The duckling hid among the reeds. He was cold and hungry, and he was all alone. After a long time, the ice began to melt. The trees put on leaves. The sun shone. The sky was blue, and the birds began to sing. Slowly the duckling ruffled his feathers. He walked down to the river. He slid into the water, and he began to swim. Then he looked down at the water. To his amazement, he saw a beautiful bird with a long, long neck. "Who is that?" asked the ugly duckling. Suddenly, he heard flapping of wings. He looked up and saw other birds. They were like the bird in the water, and they were beautiful too. The beautiful birds landed in the water. They swam around the duckling, and they began to stroke him. "Who are you?" asked the ugly duckling. "We're swans, like you," they replied. "But I am an ugly duckling," he said. "Look at yourself," said the swans. And the ducklings looked, and he looked. The ugly duckling was not an ugly duckling anymore. He was a beautiful swan. "I'm a swan like you," he said. "I've found my very own family." And he lived happily ever after.